And Mamabolo, the Chief Electoral Officer in the country that you've just seen there in that report by Natasha, joins us now to talk a little bit more about some of the issues that he spoke about. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us, Mr. Mamabolo. Let's start with that vice chairpersonship of the association. You've done that for the past 3 years. Was it good preparation for this chairmanship? What insights did you glean that will help you step up, do better than others in the past in this position?
Good evening, Sabiso. And this is indeed a great opportunity for South Africa to showcase its leadership capability in respect of the leadership of AWEB, Association of World Election Bodies. Of course, the past 2 years, rather 3 years, have been a very torrid time because it's been a period defined by a pandemic. So we didn't get as much cooperation as we would have wanted to from the chair, which is India. But nonetheless, there are good lessons that we are taking into the position from our tenure as deputy chair. We are very happy to be hosting. We are a very important cog, we believe, in the AWEB operation, and the experience that we've gathered since from 2013 will stand us in good stead as we begin this period of leadership.
And just in terms of your influence and changing perceptions, I want to know if you're able to achieve much in this. I mean, the aim of the AWEB is to achieve sustainable democracy around the world through the strengthening of the basics of election management in each country. But what is the state of Africa in this regard? And we often speak of Africa in comparison to the West as if our brand of democracy is inferior. Is this troubling for the IEC? Is it something that you've been able to change in terms of perception?
No, I think the starting point is to disabuse ourselves of the notion that African brand of democracy is not the brand. We have to accept that there are strong democracies on the African continent, as much as we also note that there are instances of instability, pockets of instability in certain regions of the continent. So we've got to work with election management bodies on the continent to strengthen them through collaboration measures. We've got to strengthen them through exchange programs and related things. And hopefully by so doing, influence the manner in which elections are conducted on the continent. And we stand ready because a peaceful Africa is the strategic objective of the South African people.
I mean, some of the things that you have on your wish list that you mentioned that my colleague is working with academia on election management, including giving out qualifications for that. How do you see that program, playing out? Who would be eligible for it? What are you trying to achieve with it? If you could just give us a sense of this.
We believe that we have to professionalize election administration. And in order to professionalize election administration, you've got to improve scholarship, both at the level of the administrators, but as well as at the level of the commission. So we think it's important that we create an opportunity for senior degrees in election administration. So we are talking to a number of universities in South Africa to offer such courses. And we're going to be inviting our member organizations in AWEB to nominate participants. And hopefully by the time our chairperson's role is up, we will be conferring those degrees on participants throughout the world. So it's one of the lasting legacies we want to leave for AWEB.
Now, just in terms of improving or ensuring the integrity of elections by assisting election management bodies in fulfilling their mandate, what will be involved during your tenure? And I know you conduct a number of programs which include the Election Information Communications Technology Country Program. If you could just tell us a little bit more about how these will assist.
Well, in our engagement with election management bodies in the AWEB fold, there are certain principles of election management that we propagate that they must be adhered: impartiality, participation of young persons, the representation of women, transparency in the electoral process, and so on and so on and so on. All those things have to be brought to bear within the national jurisdictions so that elections that are conducted in the various national jurisdictions accord to a minimum level of standard that is expected of every member of AWEB. And hopefully that gives us better accepted election results and therefore greater electoral integrity in those national jurisdictions.
I want to explore the issue not only of sustainability, but you mentioned standards. So the importance in the election management capacity building program and international cooperation aspect. You know, there seems to be an expectation in some quarters of uniformity when judging the freeness and fairness of an election. But we know that the electoral laws of countries differ. So how do you transgress some of these stickler points for people who look at it from a prism that says, you know, this is democracy, this is the definition thereof, and if it doesn't fall within this prism, therefore it's not credible, it doesn't have integrity as a system?
We've got to be mindful of the national variations, but the principles should be broad enough to accommodate national variation without negating the basic minimum that has to obtain in all circumstances. So our proposition is that it is possible to articulate the basic minimum such that they allow for variations that are necessary to accommodate unique circumstances of different jurisdictions.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Mr. Mamabolo. I wish we could talk more about it. The Chief Electoral Officer in the country, as we mentioned, South Africa, assuming the AWEB, that is the Association of World Electoral Bodies chairmanship for the next 2 years.